Con lo siguiente, is the turn of Berran Capraro, European Chips Skills Academy. He has over 35 years of semiconductor industry experience, working as an engineer and group manager, researcher, research manager, and talent pipeline development program manager since graduating with a master's degree in engineering. Adelante, un aplauso para él.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Can you hear me okay? Great. I like walking around the stage a lot, and you never know. I might come down and get you to get involved in this talk somewhat. The great thing about coming on an agenda so late in the day is that everybody has already said it, right? You know, so my job is really easy. Everyone's in agreement here, more collaboration, etc., etc. So I'm going to do two things on my talk. I'm going to talk about the European Chip Skills Academy. I'm from SEMI. SEMI is the coordinator of that project in Europe. A colleague of mine does it, so I'm here on her behalf, Victoria Cummins. But then I'm going to jump into a couple of examples of stuff that I've done in talent over the years, and I would really like it if we could all do it right across the region. So just by way of, just by way of an introduction then, so my dad asked me in around about 1980, he said, now then son, what is it you want to do? And my answer was incredibly mature, I think, right? You know, I want to have an impact on the world, Dad, right? And that's exactly what Gen Z says today, isn't it? I should have been a Gen Z, right? So here's what happened, right? This is what I did. 1987, I was stuck on a boat and sent across to Germany as one of the first Erasmus students from the UK. And there was no internet then, right? So I couldn't Google, what does Telefunken do? Had no clue, right? But the 1st of May 1987, I'm taken into a clean room for the very first time, and I was literally blown away because I went through an air shower, right? I was literally blown away with what I saw, and it was then I made a decision, I'm going to do this. I'm going to be a semiconductor engineer. So I did that for 3 years. I was 5 times backwards and forwards to Telefunken in Heilbronn. And then my first job graduate study after graduation was Northern Telecom, doing the similar thing. So I'm working on gallium arsenide and indium phosphide. So I'm working photonics, stuff that you guys know very well. And I ended up in Ottawa, in Bell Northern Labs, which was amazing. I was only 1 year into my career, and already I'm sent to Canada. Then I decided I wanted to play with bigger wafers, so I got involved with silicon. I went to Applied Materials, became an equipment engineer, customer engineer. And then in 1987, myself and my wife, who I met whilst working at AMAT, said, let's go to Ireland. We'll go for 2 years and go and work for Intel. And 28 years later, I'm still there, right? So I worked for Intel for 27 and a bit years, and in that time I did process, I did equipment, I did the management stuff, but I also did research. And whilst I was a researcher, we knew we were building a new fab 4 or 5 years down the line. My general manager said to me, Bernie, you're in universities all day, every day. Can you do something about a strategy for talent pipeline? So I did, and I did that for 8 years, not only in Ireland, but also in Germany and Poland as well. So I've done photonics, equipment, process, research, and did I have an impact on the world? Well, this is what you tell the students. Yeah, I helped build the internet. I put home PCs in every home and on every office desk. We then went mobile, and then we connected everything together. So it's not bad, right? So that is the kind of thing that the students today want to hear. They want to hear this story. So if you're in the university here, please invite me in so I can tell my little story. Now to business. So EXA, the European Chip Skills Academy. This is one of many things that we're doing in Europe to try and get the talent together. There's 3 main strands of activity. The first strand is really about the students. It's about, you know, what can we do for students? How can we actually get them excited? Second strand's around e-learning, you know, putting together micro-credentials, short courses, and putting it onto some level of platform. That is really strands 1 and 2, the academy. The third bit then is building the network, getting all my friends here in the audience working together and building an alliance, right, so that we can all, this is how I like to say it. Remember that physics experiment you did at school with a ripple tank? little ripples in the tank. Instead of having ripples in the tank, wouldn't it be better have a tsunami? Let's all join up and let's make one big wave right across Europe. And that's what it's about. It's an Erasmus Plus project, about 4 million for 4 years. It started 2 years ago. It's coordinated by SEMI. It's got 18 other partners with 11 countries, all the stuff the Commission love. And it combines research institutes, education and industry. And there's the list of all the partners there. So that's EXA in a nutshell. You can actually click onto that code and you can get in to see a bit more. But for the first 2 years, this is our top 7 hits. You know, they've produced the skills strategy report that you heard of already this morning. I'm going to talk a little bit about that. There's an education leaders board to give us advice about courses that we're trying to put together and how students' minds work and all that kind of stuff. There's the e-learning platform that was just launched in the summer with the courses on it. There's about 33 courses there. The Alliance, we have now over 152 members, and I hope that some of you might join it as well after today. We've done a couple of summer schools. There was a first student forum held, and we have a student ambassador program, trying to join students together across the region. I'll go into more detail on some of those in a minute. Right, so part of the first part was gathering the data. It's all about data, right? You know, so we have one of the partners, Decision. They're working with us and they're doing the analysis of you know, what the talent situation is. And this is the quantitative study that was done last year. This is only to be done once in the project. And again, if I just build this out, you can actually click in there and you can actually get the full study and read it yourself. But essentially today, there's about 382,000 people working in the industry. And by 2030, it's going to go up to 538. So that is an addition of 156,000 workers that we need. Now, people like me, oldies, right, we're all going to retire. And about 30% of the current population in the industry is going to be retired by 2030. It's a huge number. It's a big problem. So that, therefore, leaves a big gap of 271,000. If you pull all that apart, you know, folks that we know we can hire, the support staff as well, like the HR, the sales and marketing and all that, it basically leaves 75,000 heads that we can't hire. That's about a third of Europe's ambition in terms of the number of projects that we want to do to reach 20% by 2030. Are you worried yet? Right, it's actually not good. And there's the breakdown as well of the 75,000 heads. Hardware engineers, that includes your equipment engineers, your process engineers doing sustaining. It also includes the R&D engineers in places such as the IMEX, the CEA, the Fraunhofer. You have a whole bunch of technicians. We should never forget technicians. As a person coming from a factory that works 7 by 24, 365 days a year. It never shuts, it never stops. Didn't stop during the pandemic either. It was the technicians that were in there. It's the technicians that actually run the show. And as an engineer, they should be your best friends always, because they do everything that you need them to get done. Software engineers and data specialists. There's actually quite a few of those graduating, believe it or not, but we can't attract them. We can't attract them to this industry, which is a bit annoying and worrying. You might ask, is that number real, 75,000? It's actually dropped down a little bit because of slowdowns that we've seen. You know, you've seen Intel pull out at Magdeburg and Roslav. You've seen Wolfspeed move away as well. Projects are on hold. For 2030, it's actually dropped a little bit to 65,000, but that's not much of a drop. And if things pick up again, which they will, because our industry's a sine wave, we'll be on and up, it'll go back up and it'll probably go above 75,000. Moving forward then, so this is the problem. I love this graph. Right, so this shows that the EU actually has quite a few STEM graduates. It produces about 1.1 million every year. But 78% of them, or what is it, 72% of them decide not to come into our industry. They don't think they're relevant. Just hold on to that thought for a while. The folks that do, most of them go into the EU labour market. Some don't. Some go to other jurisdictions like the US. But only 6% of the remainder only enter the industry. So there's the image issue, right? You know, for some reason they're not finding us attractive, and we need to change that. But this is outrageous. We need to do something here, and I think we can. So here's the data from the report, and I'm not going to spend too long on this because you heard it all already this morning. You know, the skills that are missing are basically machine learning, excuse me, data specialists, you know, the jobs, artificial intelligence, etc. So the profiles and the skills are all around this AI, machine learning thing. And if I think back to my career, I remember being in the office there at Intel and all the engineers in this open plan office. And they're all sat there at the desks all day long, looking at the PC screens, looking at control charts. And I'm thinking, my goodness, I never did that. Yeah, we had SPC. In fact, I introduced SPC in Northern Telecom back in the early 90s. But as process technology gets more and more advanced, the process window reduces massively, right? You've got no room for variance anymore. So the process control is really, really, really important. And a top-of-the-range process technology now, a state-of-the-art node, has over 10,000 control charts. And the process engineers are sitting there trying to keep them in control. Wouldn't it be cool if we had machine learning that could do that for them? Or at least assist them, let me be honest, right? Assist them so that they could spend part of their day doing the fun stuff in the fab on safety, quality, and output, right? But that's where the industry's going. It's all about process control and process control charts and stuff. So it's exactly as you saw this morning. It's AI, it's machine learning, it's data analytics. So I'm coming back to that big drop in the graph. All of those STEM undergraduates. I was in a lab in Maynooth University not long ago, a biology lab. And this lab is huge. It houses 600 students at one time. 600, that's the full first year intake in one lab. And I said to the professor at the top of the lab, I said, what are these students doing? Oh, they're doing experiments. Right, get that. What are they doing well, they're gathering data. Are they really? Are they gathering data? Super. What did they do with the data? Well, actually, they analyzed the data and they formed conclusions from it. Sustaining engineer. Right? We need to look wider. We need to get from that little narrow view. We need electrical engineers, mechanical engineers. You could have biologists in the fab doing the data analytics. They know how to do it. They can do it. We just need to show them that they can do it. And we need to show them the industry. Here's another way of looking at it. It's exactly the same. Demand and shortage. Same story. Software engineers, data specialists, machine learning. It's all there. All artificial intelligence stuff. The one on the top there, you know, the most difficult job to fill? Cybersecurity. Now there's one, right? If you've got all this data, guess what? You've got to protect it, right? You know, so you need the cybersecurity. And they're kind of hard, right? Because they're kind of a multidisciplinary person. They have to have computer science skills. They have to have electrical engineering skills. There's quite a lot that goes into a cybersecurity expert. But that's what's coming. That's not going to change. It's going to be like that for a while, I think. So there's a new rev of this, the qualitative side, coming out at the end of this month. So you'll be able to see it again, but it'll be the same story, be the same stuff. Okay, we also do, as I said, courses. We work with the partners to put courses together, and if you look at the core skills areas, we are trying to hit those topics that I've just shown you on the previous slides. I'm going to go through a little bit quicker because I want to get to a few other things. This is the e-learning platform. Beautiful thing about this is everything on it is free. So no student has to pay, right? You know, so click into that. Now again, we also have Coursera, there's also Invictus from EIT Digital. It's yet another platform. If we could all come together and just use one platform, wouldn't that be good? What else do the students do? We've had a couple of summer schools. We've just finished one a couple of weeks ago, actually, in Budapest. There was one the year before in Italy. There's a chance this could come to Valencia in 2027. So we're going to work together and see if we can make that happen. What a great thing to do. A summer school in Valencia. You know, brilliant. That works. What else? Student Ambassador Program. This is where we try and get the students to help us. You know, there's no free lunch here. The students have to do various things, and they get things back from Semi, like free entry into Semicon Europa and other conferences. But it's about them also acting as ambassadors in their own colleges and schools and saying, hey guys, we did this and it was really good fun, you should consider it. The industry is really great. So again, there's a chance if there's any students here, if you click on the QR code, you could join up. I'd love to see some Valencia students here get involved here. You can see the diversity here is pretty good as well. We're working on that. There's actually another project called the European Chips Diversity Academy, and I could spend another whole day talking about what I think about that. I think we've got a lot of work to do there. Sometimes the students put things on themselves, and they did this. They had their own forum that they held in 2024 in Delft. They put their own agenda together. They got their own speakers. And we're hoping to do this again in the next year as well in Madrid. So that's being worked at the moment. The Alliance, as I mentioned, if you want to join, there's the QR code there, but that's about getting involved, joining up, making the tsunami happen, right? You know, and putting forward your own experiences. This worked, this didn't, and helping us all out, joining the dots. Right. I've got 7 minutes left, and I want to give a couple of examples that I worked on in Ireland. So this is my seesaw. STEM teaching, I'm going to go right back to the beginning, to the primary schools and the second level schools. The problem we have in many, many places is the hands-on bit, the fun bit, is now missing. The classes are dominated only by theory, and the kids are bored. Let's be blunt. It's not fun. We need to make it fun again. The teachers are unaware of modern-day industry. They don't know what happens in the fab in Intel just half a mile up the road. So there's no image. And we talked about AI and data analytics coming in as well. So there you go, the seesaw goes down, lots of problems. Let's bring in some solutions. So in Ireland, we did the STEM teacher internship, where new teachers in their final year of training get to go into industry for a 3-month paid internship, and they get to see what it's all about. Hey, they're not all Einstein, they're just normal people doing a cool job, right? And then I want to talk about some micro-credentials as well that we did in Ireland around the AI and data analytics. But this has the impact, hopefully, to bring the seesaw back the other way. So let's go and have a look. So the STEM teacher internships, you can read those while I'm talking, but you can see now there's a lot more confidence in the new teachers going into the classroom that they can actually do stuff. The older teachers aren't confident. And in Ireland, this is really a problem. Experiments aren't done in many schools because the equipment's broken. And there's no technicians in the classrooms in Ireland, so the teachers have to fix the equipment and they don't know how to. So the kids, all they do is write up experiments. Where's the fun in that? I'm going to play this video. A couple of people now are going to speak about this program.
First of all, Miss Mary had a big impact in her class because obviously her class has benefited from all her innovative ideas to do with STEM, but other... First of all, Miss Mary had a big impact in her class because obviously her class has benefited from all her innovative ideas.
Start again.
First of all, Miss Mary had a big impact in her class because obviously her class has benefited from all her innovative ideas to do with STEM, but other teachers have noticed this and taken it on board, and it's improving their learning and they're enjoying it. There's no loser. So going forward, her stamp in this school is already there.
So when I thought of industry, I thought of engineers, but I didn't think project managers, I didn't think HR, I didn't think finance, I didn't think all of the other careers that are within one industry. They all shared common skills like collaboration and communication and creativity, and things that are fundamental to children's teaching now.
I got to interview loads of different engineers from all around the world. I was surprised that what's more important in engineering is not the content or the subject matter that you need to know, it is more the skills you have. One of the engineers said, you can be the smartest engineer in the world, but if you don't have the communication skills to say what you have in your head, that's no good. I think that was one thing that surprised me.
We've had a very positive experience, I can say, to begin with. You know, there was a confidence there that you wouldn't necessarily see with young people at the beginning of their careers.
Even though I was a new teacher and I might have had less experience than other teachers that I was working with, I still had something else that I could put forward, and that gave me huge confidence when I was in the school, whereas I wouldn't have had that confidence without doing the stint.
Brilliant. So we have, since 2016, put 370 students through this programme across Ireland, north, south, east and west. If you do the maths on that, it's great. We heard this morning, like, industry should go into schools, into the classroom and promote STEM and promote the industry. Who's got time to do that every day of the week between 9 and 4 p.m? No industry has, right? You'd go in once or twice a year maybe into 2 different schools. The school teachers are there all day. And if you're a primary school teacher over the course of 40 years, full career, you will impact 1,000 students. If you're a second level teacher, you will impact 5,000. So do the sums on 370, that's about 1.3 million students that you've had an impact on. Isn't that worth having, right? You know, but you're bringing the fun back into the classroom, but more importantly, at second level, you can give correct careers advice because you've been there, seen it, done it. The second thing then is on micro-credentials. So in Ireland, we had the great triple helix. We had the government funding. It was actually industry taxation that went into a national training fund. Industry and academia working together, like you heard in the previous speakers. And we put together micro-credentials for how do you do machine learning, right, for process control. So Intel helped University College Dublin put together in this centre, funded by the government, 5 ECTS courses. One on process control, second one on Python, and then the third one putting the two together and having machine learning. Right? And that has this year 100 Intel employees going through it to help them with this process control problem that I told you before. That is cool. Look at all the stuff that centre's actually working on, everything that we've been talking about. Micro-credentials. Now, wouldn't it be great if we didn't have to keep reinventing the wheel and we could share that right across the region? Yeah? Every university could get together. Can we borrow those? We'll give you these in return, and so on and so forth. Let's pump up the tyres instead of reinventing wheels every day. Right? It's more efficient and we'll get the job done. So we want to share them as well. I was in UCD just on Tuesday. That was an industry, academia, government collaboration that's doing its job now for reskilling and upskilling process engineers in the fab. Let's bring that now into the undergrad course and update the undergrad course. Meanwhile, the triple helix starts again on cyber security. 5 years from now, let's put that into the undergrad course. See what I'm getting at? You create this wheel of innovation and creativity that's actually doing what industry needs, what the region needs. I'm going to finish up with this last point. My father-in-law is a keen fisherman, and he's in a fishing club in Scotland, and every year, at the start of the season, they have to pay money to the fishing club, and that money is used to stock the pond of fish. Every 2 weeks, they refill the pond. Everybody pays the money. We're all working together, are we? Let's all work together. Let's all do the stuff to create the fish in the pond. The fun only starts, or the competition only starts, when HR come in and try and hire the best fish, right? But the bit at the front, we should all be doing it together. So on that, I'd like to say thank you very much. I'm bang on time, I think. But if you want to make contact with me, there's my details there. Thank you very much.
Pero yo la presento. Muy bien, muchas gracias, Bernat.